The night was calm, the sky dark, and the stars above the Atlantic seemed indifferent to the lives thousands of feet below. On board the aircraft, passengers settled in for what was supposed to be a routine journey. Some were returning home, others chasing dreams in distant cities, and a few simply traveling for leisure. Laughter and quiet conversations filled the cabin, a soft hum of life against the monotone whir of engines. No one could have imagined that within hours, this ordinary night would turn into a story of survival, tragedy, and unbelievable human endurance. The hooks of fear, suspense, and fate were quietly tightening around everyone aboard. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most shocking and unforgettable aviation incidents in history. A flight that started like any other but ended in tragedy, testing human courage, survival, and the limits of fate. Let's dive into the story and understand what really happened on that flight. Flight 965 departed smoothly, leaving the busy airport behind, climbing steadily into the night. The crew, trained and experienced, monitored instruments, communicated routine updates, and adjusted flight paths according to protocol. Clouds passed below, moonlight reflected faintly against the fuselage, and the plane seemed almost untouchable, gliding gracefully through the sky. Yet, even the most ordinary nights can conceal extraordinary danger. A single mistake, a minor miscalculation, or a sudden storm could change everything in moments. The calm before the storm is always silent, and this silence was about to break in a way no one could anticipate. As the aircraft approached its ascent path, weather conditions began to change unexpectedly. Thunderstorms rolled across the horizon, lightning flashing intermittently against the black clouds. The cockpit grew tense as instruments began to signal anomalies. Not immediately alarming, but unusual enough to demand attention. Passengers remained unaware, some napping, others watching in-flight entertainment, oblivious to the subtle tension building miles above. In moments like these, the human mind trusts routine, relying on experience, on training, on the belief that all systems are functional. But technology, while powerful, is fallible, and even the best trained pilots can face situations that defy expectation. The descent began, and soon the aircraft encountered heavy rain and turbulent winds. Visibility dropped drastically, and the runway lights appeared as distant streaks in the storm. The captain and co-pilot exchanged brief glances, their communication clipped but precise, trying to adjust course, slow descent, and stabilize the aircraft. Instruments flickered as the aircraft struggled against the elements, while the autopilot, unable to compensate fully for the turbulent conditions, disengaged. Manual control was now necessary, and responsibility lay squarely on human hands, navigating a machine weighing tens of tons, filled with lives, through an unforgiving storm that suddenly confusion struck. Minor errors compounded. The plane veered slightly off course. Small deviations that at first seemed manageable but grew dangerous as the aircraft approached mountainous terrain. Moments passed like hours, the tension in the cockpit palpable. The co-pilot alerted the captain to altitude discrepancies, while the ground proximity warning sounded briefly, then went silent, giving a false sense of security. Each second became heavier than the last, the responsibility pressing on the crew with every passing heartbeat. Outside, the storm raged relentlessly, thunder shaking the fuselage, rain lashing windows. Inside, passengers remained largely unaware, some chatting, some dozing, some wondering if the rough weather was unusual, unaware that fate had already taken hold of their journey. The critical moment arrived when the aircraft, misaligned with the approach path, began a rapid, unplanned descent. Panic did not arrive suddenly. It unfolded slowly, subtly. The crew attempted to recover, pulling back on controls, adjusting throttle, calling out altitudes and headings, all while navigating near mountainous terrain that rose sharply in front of them. The plane struck the first obstacles, trees scraping against the fuselage, creating jolts that sent panic through the cabin. Seatbelts held passengers, but screams erupted, some muffled, some desperate. The metal shell of the aircraft shuddered under the force, and the storm outside seemed almost complicit in the disaster. Seconds later, the aircraft collided violently with the mountainside. The impact was catastrophic. The fuselage tore apart, engines detached, seats and belongings scattered in a chaos of steel, fire, and screams. The storm drowned out voices, thunder masking the cries of the injured. In the chaos, survival became a matter of chance, instincts driving a few to cling to anything solid. Amidst the devastation, only a handful managed to escape, injured, bleeding, and disoriented, yet alive. Their survival was miraculous, dependent on position, reflexes, and luck. A cruel lottery decided in moments that no one could have controlled. As dawn broke, the wreckage lay scattered across a remote, rain-soaked mountainside. Rescue teams faced treacherous terrain and unstable debris. Survivors, 4 in total, were found huddled among the remains, their bodies battered, clothes torn, eyes wide with shock. Some whispered the names of loved ones, others simply stared at the sky, struggling to comprehend what had occurred. The storm had passed, but the human storm of grief, disbelief, and trauma was only beginning. Families were notified, news outlets buzzed with the horror and the miracle, and the aviation world began piecing together how such a disaster could unfold. Investigations revealed a chain of errors and the combination of poor weather, navigational mistakes, and insufficient communication created a scenario where even experienced pilots could not recover. Modern technology, while reliable, had limitations under extreme conditions. Safety protocols were examined and revised, lessons learned painfully etched into the regulations that would guide future flights. Yet, no rule, no protocol could ever replace the lives lost or undo the trauma of the survivors. The story of this flight remains a sobering reminder that air travel, while generally safe, carries inherent risks. Human lives are bound to machines, and those machines, though advanced, rely on human oversight, judgment, and decision. The 4 survivors of this flight carry memories that no one else shares, memories of sound, chaos, and fear that most will never experience, and a deep understanding of how fragile existence can be. Their survival is both a miracle and a testament to human resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. Even decades later, the tale of this flight is retold to emphasize caution, preparedness, and respect for the unpredictable nature of the skies. It underscores the importance of constant vigilance, the value of training, and the sobering reality that sometimes, despite all efforts, tragedy is unavoidable. Aviation safety has evolved tremendously, in part because of the lessons learned from disasters like this one. Each protocol, each safety drill, each navigational check is in some way shaped by the lives lost and the survivors who bore witness. The story leaves a haunting question for every traveler. While the skies appear infinite, serene, and controlled, beneath the calm exterior lies a delicate balance. Lives, technology, and human judgment interact in ways that can suddenly tilt toward catastrophe. The 4 survivors emerged physically alive, but their mental and emotional journey continues indefinitely. Their experience is a reminder that flying is not just about machines, schedules, and distances. It is about people, frailty, courage, and the extraordinary moments when life hangs in the balance. In reflecting on this tragedy, one understands that aviation is not merely a mode of transport, but a stage for human drama, courage, and unpredictability. Each flight carries hundreds of hopes, fears, and dreams into the sky, and though most land safely, a few become indelible lessons in survival, human error, and the relentless power of nature. The story of this flight is preserved not only in records and reports, but in the hearts of those who survived, those who lost loved ones, and those who dedicate their lives to making air travel safer for everyone. This story, like all aviation tragedies, is both a warning and a testament. A warning about complacency, over-reliance on technology, and the unpredictable forces of nature. A testament to human courage, resilience, and the will to survive against unimaginable odds. As long as humans continue to take to the skies, these stories endure, reminding us that behind every flight number, every takeoff, and every landing, there are lives interwoven with risk, bravery, and hope.